BJP chief Mehbooba Mufti attacked former President Ramnath Kovind, says he worked for BJP's agenda.
के तहत काम कर रही है और साथ में ही उनकी फ्रस्ट्रेशन वो खुल करके सामने आ रही है।
BJP came down heavily on PDP chief Mehbooba Mufti over a statement of former President Ramnath Kovind. ED levels massive charge against Partha, says Arpita admitted the cash recovered belongs to the Bengal minister. Mamta breaks her silence on the cash scam, distances from her minister and the cash recovered in ED raids. The politics over the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign rages on. Now the AIUDF insults the campaign, attacks the RSS instead. Hello and good evening. You're watching Burning Question. I'm Sucharita Kukreti. Even as the 15th President of India, Draupadi Murmu, took oath of office today, the PDP chief Mehbooba Mufti targeted outgoing President Ramnath Kovind's legacy, claiming that the Constitution of India was trampled upon up 10 times under his tenure. She even raised the abrogation of Article 370 in relation to Jammu and Kashmir and the Citizenship Amendment Act. She claimed that President Kovind fulfilled BJP's political agenda and allowed the unabashed targeting of minorities and Dalits. Now the question here is, ladies and gentlemen, how office of the Republic be insulted for personal petty politics, right from attacking the Emblem to now targeting the most nationalist Tiranga drive. The PDP chief has now insulted the Constitution and the highest office in the country. We debate this after this short report.
Problem with the emblem. Problem with Tiranga. And now attack on the highest chair in the country. PDP chief Mehbooba Mufti target former President Ramnath Kovind's legacy, claiming that the Constitution of India was trampled upon up 10 times under his tenure. Talking about the abrogation of Article 370 and the CAA, Mufti claimed that former President Kovind fulfilled BJP's political agenda and allowed unabashed targeting of minorities and Dalits. The statement has not gone well with the BJP, and rightly so.
Those who have been the beneficiaries of Parivar Tantra use an occasion which is pious in Lok Tantra to undermine an outgoing president whose contributions to the nation, whose service to the presidency, his dignity, his humility, his intellectual heft and his commitment will always be remembered. On a pious day like this, she chooses this opportunity, despite herself being somebody who has held a constitutional position, to undermine the most pious moment in our Loktantra and in our constitutional history.
The BJP also retorted by saying that the former chief minister stooped to a new low.
देखिए, महबूबा एक एजेंडे के तहत काम कर रही है और साथ में ही उनकी फ्रस्ट्रेशन वो खुल करके सामने आ रही है। भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने आज तक जो 3 राष्ट्रपति दिए, चाहे वो अब्दुल कलाम आज़ाद थे, चाहे रामनाथ कोविंद जी हैं या द्रौपदी मुर्मू जी, विपक्ष तक ने उनको सराहा है और उनके कामकाज के तरीके को भली भांति जानते हैं।
A direct attack on the highest apolitical office of the Republic of India continued to show opposition's frustration with the centre government. Former President Ramnath Kovind, a Dalit leader from Kanpur, has been in politics for more than 3 decades, even representing India in the UN. Mufti's repeated attack on BJP and the government notwithstanding, the burning question is, should political leader indulge in such petty politics where they even attack constitution and expect to go scot-free? Let's debate.
And the guest joining me on Burning Question tonight, the BJP spokesperson Tuhin Sinha joins us on Burning Question. Aarti Tikku Singh, Foreign and Strategic Affairs expert, joins us on the show. I have Radhan Sharda, political analyst and author, joining us from Mumbai. I also have Pathikrit Pine, political analyst, joining us from Kolkata. Ravi Srivastav joins us on the show from Mumbai. Surendra Chauhan, who's an advocate, political analyst, joins us on the show. So does Iftikhar Misgar, political analyst, leans towards the PDP, and also journalist and political analyst Majid Hydari joins us on the show. So let me just begin with Iftikhar Misgar. Iftikhar Misgar, I would just like to read out what Mehbooba Mufti had to say. And very clearly when she says the outgoing president leaves behind a legacy where the Indian constitution was trampled upon umpteen times. Now what does the Constitution of India, what does the Constitution of India speak about? It speaks about oneness. It speaks about India. And the one leader who's always targeted the idea of one India is Mehbooba Mufti. And she now speaks about trampling the constitution. Majid Hydari, if I could begin with you. I think my audio is not going across to Iftikhar Misgar.
Well, firstly, it's a historic day. It's a historic day of happiness, historic day of empowerment, that we not only have a new president, a woman, Honorable Draupadi Murmu Sahiba, but that we have seen the empowerment of Nari Shakti in its true manifestation today. So hats off to the government and the people who voted a woman to be the next president of our country. But the point is that if on one side we have the Nari Shakti ka pratik in our worthy president, we also have the symbol of same Nari Shakti in Mehbooba Mufti Sahiba. She has been that symbol. She has been kicking for that symbol of Nari Shakti for all these years, and it was BJP who empowered her firstly. And what wrong has Mehbooba Mufti Sahiba done? Is questioning a former president or a vice president wrong? Did you people not question Honorable Hamid Ansari ji for no fault of his? Was that correct? And today it's wrong because some Muslim woman has questioned that what allegedly wrong has the worthy man done, maybe allegedly.
The president leaves a legacy of trampling the constitution umpteen times is what she says. Now, I would want to ask you, you lashing allegations at an outgoing president and speaking about trampling the constitution, isn't that something that Mehbooba Mufti has herself done? She even has a problem about holding the Tiranga. She is also questioning the whole Har Ghar Tiranga drive. And she's the one who's going to speak about India and constitution. Majid Hydari sir?
Her party and government has stood for the tricolor always. So let's not question her over this. It's her right, and she has very rightfully exercised on the right day.
Is that true?
When
is that true to
Nari
He says
Shakti,
the country,
one Nari from
he's saying that Mehbooba Mufti has always stood for the Tiranga, the one who's speaking about abrogation of 370 and calling it trampling the constitution, you're saying is standing for Tiranga. Is standing for Tiranga. Sir, both the things do not go side by side. Tuhin Sinha?
Good evening, Sucharita. Good evening to all your viewers. Well, Majid, Hydari has a bad sense of humor. If he says that she has stood by the tricolor, then, I don't know what he's talking. But the point is, former President Kovind was one of the most dignified, one of the most, he had one of the most spotless and impeccable tenures as president of the country, whereas Mehbooba Mufti has been an embarrassment for the country, at least in the last few years. 3 years ago, she had warned that the moment you remove Article 370, Kashmir will break away from India. What has happened? Her own credibility has been shattered.
It will start
and what
burning.
is she claiming? Allow me to complete, please. What is she complaining about? President Kovind has only upheld the constitution, whether it was abrogation of Article 370 or CAA. Both of these were acts passed in parliament. And if he's upholding that, he is the true custodian. He has been the true custodian of the constitution. And this is what proves that Mehbooba Mufti has a problem with people who uphold the Indian constitution. She has a problem with the Indian tricolor. So, and besides, at this point of time, she's redundant. So her outburst is a sign of her own personal frustration. The Jive Pakistan Mansikta, the mentality which she has harbored all her life, does not, have any traction within even her own constituents today. That's a fact.
That's a fact. Iftikhar Misgar is what Tuhin Sinha is saying. and she attacks the outgoing president and says that the constitution has been trampled upon. She says be it scrapping of Article 370 CAA or the unabashed targeting of minorities and Dalits is what she's talking about. Now she very clearly, I just have a question. Will Mehbooba Mufti Sahiba hold the tricolour with pride and speak about the idea of India? I've never really seen her do that. Iftikhar Misgar Sahab, 75 years of our independence, are we going to see her speak of the idea of India, or she will just continue to trample the constitution like she's doing right now?
See, I will not I not scale her as a nationalist or an anti-nationalist. With BJP, Bharatiya Janata Party will be better to answer you for that, because they have shared a seat with her. They have shared the government with her. But yes, I don't understand why people are getting agitated, why these hyper-nationalists and pseudo-nationalists are getting agitated when somebody tries to open their eyes. If somebody is telling you that you are doing wrong, and let me tell you one thing, if same thing will happen, see, it will be repeated tomorrow. It will go to our prime minister also, because things will not remain like this. There will be a change of government one fine day, and people definitely will tell you your wrongs and rights. And whatever wrong you have done, whatever right you have done, you will be appreciated, and whatever.
No, Iftikhar Misgar Sahab, I'm going to ask you this. How was the outgoing president fulfilling the political agenda of the BJP? Direct, sir. Whatever she's written, I'm going to ask you that. How was he fulfilling the political agenda of the BJP?
Right. I'll please let me put my words across, and so that you'll get the right answer. It's not only president's chair.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Every August institution is being used for the petty political gains and to entertain the what we call them business class, like Ambani's. When you replace Khadi flag with Hollister, see, we have seen and we are witnessing it that this government has utilized and used for their petty political gains and elections the constitution, the parliament, every institution. Why not president's office? They have used every office for their petty political gains. And definitely common Indian will raise the question. And time will come. These hyper-nationalists will be booked and their destiny is jail. Let me tell you very clearly.
What do you mean by hyper-nationalism? Wait. Iftikhar Misgar. Now, I do not have a problem with you targeting if she was targeting the BJP. Ratan Sharda ji, I do not have a problem with her targeting the BJP. She's a political leader. She has to thrive on targeting political parties, and especially the ones in power. But when you're calling when you're calling the top office bearer, you're calling the president a stooge of the BJP, you're saying basically he was just fulfilling political agendas. Is that what was happening in the country? Because a nod was given to abrogation of Article 370, and that put a stop to a lot of politics and political careers in Kashmir.
Exactly. Can I come in now? See, first of all, she has always worked at the behest of terrorists. She speaks at behest of terrorists, on behest of Pakistan. She has supported terrorists. She has released terrorists in big numbers. She released stone throwers in big numbers, and people who say that they tied up with BJP, tied up with. I didn't speak when he spoke, sir. I did not speak. I have never refuted you.
I'm sorry.
I have not. No. Then I will start refuting you.
You said a lot. No, Misgar Sahab, let Ratan Sharda ji make his point.
This is bad.
I am not getting enraged by like you.
She was an ex-chief minister. She has
exactly.
No, why are you getting enraged? Iftikhar Misgar is right. Why are you getting enraged? He's very calmly making his point. Let him make his point. If you have a counter to make, I will give you time, sir. Let him make his point.
If she tied up with BJP is the party which actually removed 370 and also put her in jail. So they have taken care of what they have done for Mufti, for or against. So you cannot harp on saying that BJP had tied with her. She paid for the tie-up and she's suffering for that. Secondly, she talks of Constitution, 35A, Article 35A, which trampled on minorities, Gorkhas, Hindus, women, was included in the constitution surreptitiously, totally against the wish of the parliament. Did any of you speak for 70 years? No, sir, you did not. And CA, what is wrong with CA? Is it against anybody? Is it against Indian Muslims? Is it against Dalit? Is it against women? It is for the people who are being persecuted by a friend Pakistan. So don't try to bring in CA. So this kind of stupidity that you talk about exposes you totally. And what is the condition of minority in Kashmir, my dear friends? Minorities were thrown out of Kashmir. All the minorities suffered in huge numbers in Kashmir for 70 years. 1 million people from erstwhile Pakistan were suffering without any roof, without education, without job. Did any of you ever speak about them? No, you did not. And you speak out a president who is highly dignified, humble. You're not talking about BJP. What president is exactly what president was supposed to do. And you will try speaking of, you said nobody will, put up tricolor. कोई जिंदा नहीं रहेगा tricolor लगाने के लिए और ये देश जलेगा, कश्मीर जलेगा. आप देख रहे हैं क्या हो रहा है. So all this empty talk, all this, totally frustrated kind of talk does not help anybody. So please control your horses because you did not do any justice to women, minorities, Dalits or anybody. Or Hindus. So don't come here and tell us what is constitution. And what is 370? 370 is temporary. You always forget it.
Certain statement which she had given a long time back.
Just last 30 seconds. Right. All this rhetoric about
that statement which she had given कि कोई रहेगा नहीं तिरंगा पकड़ने के लिए. Same Mehbooba Mufti now wants to lecture on the idea of constitution in India. And she wants to talk about India and the constitution.
They are children of Congress party. First of all, Congress party gave them the base to create the empire. So don't call them now because they are not getting any money from them. Okay. You can blackmail them, you get the money, but don't blame them what is happening today. So you come here, you blame the people for all your,
Ravi Srivastava ji.
70 years of wrongs.
See, Sucharita, first of all,
give me one example.
She is the same leader, Ravi Srivastava ji, who said कोई बचेगा नहीं तिरंगा पकड़ने के लिए. And she is going on with the same rhetoric even now when the country talks about Har Ghar Tiranga. It's the same rhetoric. And now she wants to question why Tiranga on every house, in every house. Why? She continues to question it. And then she talks about trampling the idea of India, the idea of the constitution of India.
If somebody was saying that who has done the release, the hostage and all that, I think that's the same party, the BJP, which had released the Muhammad Azhar. So that let them not take a high moral ground for that. That is one.
That was all party decision. Don't speak, but don't give fake news. Every party was involved in releasing them. Don't blame BJP government. It was Congress also was there in the meeting. So don't try to pass on fake news.
I did not tell you. Listen.
No, but you cannot speak fake news. Muhammad Azhar was all by every party. His release was supported by all party meeting. So don't blame this government.
One should not be a stamp officer. That is my question. First of all, when that ordinance of that the farmer protest was taken to the president, he passed it. And what ultimately went?
So why not?
Prime Minister had to apologize in the floor of the parliament to the entire opposition that this was my mistake. So where is the role of the president in that? The similar is that the president should question the government.
President is not prime minister. Mr. Srivastava, president is not prime minister. Don't mix up prime minister with president. President is supposed to go by the advice of the council of ministers. Don't you know that? How do you come and debate without knowing? President is supposed to follow the lead of the cabinet ministers. He is not supposed to take his decision like this. You don't read constitution, I think. He goes by the advice of the council of ministers. Yes or no? You tell me whether he goes by constitutional advice of the cabinet or not.
You don't have
Give me one example where president is allowed to go against the council of the ministers. You come here and flaunt your ignorance of the people.
He's thrown a question at you. Raviji, he's thrown a question at you.
He did. He's right. He can do it.
People simply come.
Okay. Ravi Srivastava's audio is not very clear. We'll just get that sorted and then we'll go back to Ravi Srivastava ji. His audio is not very clear. I'm not able to hear half of what he's saying. Surendra Chauhan ji, I'm coming across to you. Now, very clearly, abrogation of 370 remains an issue with Mehbooba Mufti. She's going on harping on it again and again. And because Article 370 was removed, it was abrogated. So the constitution was trampled upon. So the president was acting was acting on the political agenda of BJP. Now, as a party, your stand on Article 370 is still not very clear, sir.
Sucharita, that is whatever Mufti Mehbooba is saying, that is her prerogative. She may say anything. But today, when His Excellency, the Honorable President of India has demitted office, why she has not raised these issues during his existence as the President of India? During that point, he has never stated she has never stated that His Excellency, the President of India, has trampled the Constitution, 1 point. Today, well, there are some issues. I agree with Mr. Shastri also, that many a times, the President of India could have taken a strong decision as far as the ordinance was concerned. So ordinance part, he has always simply signed it. So working on the aid of councils of ministers is not his obligation. He is under a constitutional obligation to say no also if he is finding that something is going beyond the law. So it is simply not simpliciter. He is not assigning stamp paper there. A stamp is there that he will sign it. If the ministers, a group of ministers are saying, then he has to sign it.
So what was going wrong? What was going wrong?
He has to
Article
go
370 was abrogated. That was wrong? No, that was wrong. What was wrong?
No, that was...
What was wrong? You're saying that he should have put his foot down to what?
The procedure adopted by the government was wrong. The procedure adopted by the government was wrong. We also take up that issue.
No,
the procedure was that if the abrogation was there, it should have been...
And that whole rhetoric is something that is being raised by the opposition time and again.
It should have been recommended by the State Assembly. State Assembly should have passed that. As a government of India, you cannot do that.
So
we have agitated that point also.
Okay. So now
that abrogation, yes, you read it.
Grounds is what is coming through.
Sucharita, he is absolutely wrong.
Okay. Now what is coming through?
I'm not wrong. You read the law, you read the Constitution of India.
You are absolutely wrong.
No, I'm
you
not.
don't know how it is supposed to be passed when the
she very clearly speaks about abrogations. She speaks about CA. She also speaks about minorities being targeted. Is all that happening in the country? You're trying to show that this is what is the reality of India. Pathikrit, go ahead.
Sucharita, first of all, when it comes to the Article 370, that was not something BJP did secretly. BJP mentioned it in its manifesto. They got overwhelming vote. They came to power. They did it. And there was overwhelming support they got from across the country. So today I want to ask some of the opposition political parties, go and say that you oppose it and see how people will react to you. Number two, today there is so much desperation among some opposition parties that they want the president to hold the brief on. Why do you expect the president to hold the brief? And let's find out, let's do a research on how many ordinances were passed by Congress when it was in power. Let me also mention, Article 370, somebody was mentioning about Dalit persecution. Article 370 is a law which was most anti-Dalit, most anti-Hindu, most anti-minority law that was there, and that has been abrogated. Would Mehbooba Mufti have been happy if this had been opposed by the president? Would she have been happy if the president had said, no, why did you do Balakot airstrike? Is that what she was expecting? So the reality is, whether it is the farm law, I'm telling you, the farm law had to be, annulled, but eventually the farm laws will come someday, because some states like Punjab are on the verge of bankruptcy, their groundwaters are gone, our farm policies are unsustainable in the long run. Reality is, there are limitations on what the president can do. I mean, look at the legacy of Pratibha Patel or Pranab Mukherjee. What did they do? They were actually doing what the president was supposed to do. I mean, here is a political opposition which wants, okay, since they can't do anything, the president is at fault because the president is not opposing the prime minister. What is this? Don't they know that the president's mandate in India is different from what the president mandates in the United States?
Pathikrit, I have a bigger question to that. Was abrogating Article 370 trampling the Constitution, Aarti? Was CA trampling the Constitution? Because those are the allegations that are being put by the opposition time and again. It's not just Mehbooba Mufti.
Well, let me tell you. It was passed in both houses of parliament with overwhelming majority. It was passed in both houses of parliament. Right. And secondly, those who are questioning.
Right. Patikrit, let Aarti make a point. Let Aarti make a point. I'll come back to you.
Well, here's the fact. Mehbooba Mufti has been taking a pro-Pakistan line all along her political career. What is the difference between her and Pakistan's Prime Minister, former Prime Minister Imran Khan, and all other leaders in Pakistan who keep saying the same thing? What is the difference? Zero. And this is the woman who has never mentioned a word against Yasin Malik and others who abducted her sister 32 years ago. It has taken her sister 32 years to come in front of the court and finally admit that she was abducted by Yasin Malik and company. I think Mehbooba Mufti will take another 64 years to remember this because there is a selective amnesia for power. All she wants is power. Also, she's trying to be the B team of Hurriyat Conference in Kashmir. And today, in fact, she's facing the situation where she has to eat crow because she's the same woman who had said that there would be nobody in Kashmir who would raise India's tricolour. And today, look at the scene today. Every district in Kashmir, you will see kids raising flags, Indian tricolour. But this woman has nothing against those who destroyed or who tried to challenge Indian tricolour in Kashmir. But she's undermining India's top office. She's undermining India's parliament. She's undermining the decision taken by Indian parliament on 370. So essentially, see, she is proving that she has been seditious all along. She, actually has the characteristics of committing treason against India and Indian constitution. But lo and behold, Indian democracy is great. It's fantastic because we allow politicians like Mehbooba Mufti to have such seditious views and, all we will say is that she has the freedom to say so. So thank goodness we have this democracy where Mehbooba Mufti can exercise her right and say whatever nonsense and trash she can think of, where she can actually undermine all the elected institutions of India and where she has no respect, no honor for politicians or for leaders or for, President of India whose careers are unblemished.
Is it the frustration of being out of power and sadly after the abrogation of 370 that dream only remains a distant dream now? So that frustration seems to be coming out through tweets like these, Majid Hydari. You have to keep yourself politically relevant. So the easiest way is keep tweeting, keep targeting the present day government.
Constitution which says that questioning BJP government is a crime. So everybody has the fundamental right to question the government as it had been for the last 75 years, for which we are going to celebrate our Independence Day.
So many have been thriving on that for so many years now.
Questioning BJP will be a sin. So we have the right to question because what has been the benefit, what has been the output of the abrogation of 370, that is the bigger question. And Aarti Tikku Saiba was talking about tricolour. Let me tell you, every scamster, fraudster, cheater, history cheater wants to hold a tricolour rally in Kashmir so that his past crimes get washed away. What kind of this torcatism is government adopting for in Kashmir? This is all the way condemnable.
So
this is the wrong investment in Kashmir.
Hold it there, Majid. So what are the crimes that Mehbooba Mufti has committed that she has a problem about holding the tricolour? You're saying that fraudsters have a problem about holding. Fraudsters want to just completely change their history, their past history.
That is Mehbooba Mufti's biggest crime, and I must tell her this on her face.
It is utterly shameful.
Okay. Tuhin wants to counter.
It is utterly shameful that he's calling everybody who holds a flag or tricolour in Kashmir a fraud. This is the mentality which has failed these people. These white-collar, pro-separatist mindset. Do you realize what you said? That everybody who holds a flag rally in Kashmir is a fraudster. Is that how you think about the transformation which has happened in Kashmir?
I never said so. You go through my statement
no,
again.
you can rewind and play what he said. Didn't you say that everybody who's carrying out the flag rally,
next protest
in Kashmir is a fraudster?
terms. That is how politics is going on in Kashmir.
You can rewind, but you are behaving like Dr. Ajoy Kumar when you when you link evil philosophy with a lady. That this is precisely what you're doing. Anyway, coming to the larger point, Mehbooba Mufti represented a retrograde notion of Kashmir which has been rejected by many of her own constituents. This transformation is something she needs to be realized. She does not realize, that is why she is redundant, and in her frustration, she continues to make outrageous statements. I feel sorry for her, but it's about time, such people are out of India's politics.
No, sorry, sir. I oppose it.
BJP is so immature.
Kindly enlighten us on this.
Let's just leave Mehbooba Mufti for a second. If I were not to know this is a tweet by Mehbooba Mufti, Raviji. Okay. Raviji, if I were not to know this is a tweet by Mehbooba Mufti, I could just attribute it to any of the opposition leaders today. So because it's a very similar narrative. It's a similar narrative attacking the democracy. The democratic setup has been tarnished. The democratic values have been diminished. This is the same attack time and again by opposition parties.
Give me 15 seconds to also educate Mr. Srivastava. Mr. Srivastava, the only president who has really trampled India's constitution was Fakhruddin Ali Ahmad, who signed the order to declare emergency. Do you call him unconstitutional? Will you call that out on the show?
Criticism of any constitutional authority is not a crime. You have a right to do it. So that's the right. Same thing is Mehbooba Mufti is exercising today on Ramnath Kovind.
The problem is with the falsehood that she is peddling.
Why are you offended by that? That's what I'm saying.
Is with the falsehood that she is peddling.
And actually, Mr. Ramnath Kovind was only acting as a stamp officer for the BJP-led government. It's a fact. What he did on the farmers' bill, he passed it.
Your problem is he was a nationalist president who stood for nationalist sentiments and who upheld acts passed by the parliament in national interest. You have a problem with that.
He never questioned the government. You cite me one example where he has returned any ordinance or any proposal brought by the government which was declined.
Because he was not a rebel without cause like you. He was not a rebel without cause. He believed in nationalist sentiments. He believed he had a nationalist vision. He supported acts passed by parliament which were in national interest. Why should he rebel without a cause? Why do you expect him to behave like you?
He is not a worker of the BJP. He is the head of the state. He has a bigger responsibility of the constitution.
He was a nationalist president. That is the problem that you have. He acted in national interest. He supported acts passed in parliament in national interest. That's it. Why should he rebel without a cause if there was no reason? He's not like Yashwant Sinha. That is why Yashwant Sinha is where he is.
Okay, let me go across to Surendra Chauhan. Surendra Chauhan and Pathikrit. Let's have Surendra Chauhan and Pathikrit on the screen. Surendra Chauhan. Okay, Ravi Srivastava ji, I'll come back to you. Surendra Chauhan, very aptly and I think very pointedly asked by Tuhin. And I think one of the most undemocratic acts in the history of India has been the emergency. It has been the emergency. Now, whose political agenda was the emergency? And the president who signed up to those emergency orders, would you use the same words for that president?
Sucharita, I was expecting this question from you because you see, there is nothing to go into the behind the legacy now, whatever is there. Emergency was a dark chapter. Listen. Emergency was a chapter. It was the requirement of that government. And that government, as pointed out by the gentleman, that the group of council or the group of ministers might have recommended that, so the president accepted that. So if that is thing to go, then that president was right.
So now the emergency is dependent on the show, sir. As a a prerequisite for a council of ministers. Surendra Chauhan, these are double standards at its best. Now the emergency is being defended that a council of ministers would have suggested the emergency as the best possible thing at that time. So the emergency becomes good and the decisions being taken by the present-day government become undemocratic.
Sucharita.
Perfect, sir.
Sucharita, fact of the matter is you don't want to listen. I am not defending it. I am simply saying whatever the gentleman
I really want
right
to see
now
what
was
defense
saying,
stands.
that the
What defense stands for the emergency, sir? Please go ahead.
There is no different standard. Today I am showing their standard. I am showing their standard. I am not saying anything. I am not defending it. But in that point of time, if emergency was right or wrong, the government was thrown out. The government was thrown out in the next election. So it was wrong for the nation. People might have felt it on that time. So I am not defending it.
Sir,
it is only I am saying.
Then leave it to the people of the country. Leave it to the people of the country. They will decide if the government will stay in 2024 or not.
Yes.
Sir, leave it to the people of the country then. Wait till 2024.
That's what I am saying.
Leave it to the people of the country.
So that's.
No, don't worry about that.
Let it open.
And number two, there were 93 times. There were 93 times.
There is nothing to debate.
Used the
so there is nothing to debate.
There were 93 times
so
Congress used the Article 356. How many times your presidents have returned the bill? Please tell me that. There were 93 times Congress used Article 356 when it was in power. How many times their chosen presidents have returned the bill when it was, sent for, accreditation? Please tell me. 93 times Congress used Article 356. How many times your chosen presidents that time had said that no, I will not sign on the bill?
You mean to say, no. Gentlemen,
I don't mean to say anything. I'm only showing you the mirror. Sir, I'm showing you the mirror.
So there was nothing wrong in this president.
The president has a mandate. The president cannot go beyond that.
You're
talking about Article 370 and CAA. These are bills that have been passed in the parliament. The president is supposed to pass and ratify any bill which has been passed by the parliament. This is basic constitutional law.
Are you suggesting that? Are you suggesting that that president has not returned the bill, so this president ought not to have returned that? This is what you are suggesting now?
No, I'm simply educating you. I'm simply educating you as to what are the limitations of a president.
No, don't educate
I am educating you on the limitations of the president.
I have got enough knowledge.
When the
don't educate me.
Don't educate me. The president has limited option.
I also read like you.
With respect, I thought you know.
No,
sir, I
thought
you know this. What are the limitations of the president in India?
Ratan Shardaji
doesn't have limited options.
I think I really did not get an answer to my question. But if I were not to know that who's tweeted this, it could well be labelled as a tweet from Pakistani government officials. It could have been a tweet by a Pakistani premier. It could have been a tweet by any of the leaders of the opposition parties where repeatedly the same rhetoric that how scrapping of Article 370, how CAA, completely diminished the democratic rights and how the minorities are being targeted in the country. Isn't the same rhetoric again and again? Ratan Shardaji?
See, we have seen from the day of Manishankar Raiyer who went to Pakistan and said, hame lao, Modi ko harao, to aapke sath hamari dosti banegi. This fetish for Pakistan has been there for all the time. So any action by these people reflects through Pakistan. Any action of Pakistan is reflected by these people. They are twins. And now coming to more serious issue, Mr. Surendra and many others said, if other presidents did something wrong, should Mr. Kovind also do? So you are saying that for 70 years of presidents who didn't do anything as per their own thing, this president should have used his conscience and become a trailblazer. That should be against the convention used by the parties all this time. That is what you want to mean? And you say that he should have opposed because others did. You want president to go work at the behest of opposition? That's what you want to do? You want him to reject everything that goes in favor of the nation? That is what you want? You want a president who will rebel against the government like you do for everything? You are opposing Ghar Ghar Tiranga on what ground? You can oppose BJP, you can oppose anybody. How can you oppose Tiranga? Because in your mind, you have got a Pakistani subset of mind, and because you want to oppose anything that this government does, you have been exposing yourself day and night. That is the problem with you. That in their mind hate for Mr.
Why
Modi,
does she oppose the Tiranga?
you oppose everything blindly.
Why would she not hold the Tiranga?
Let her not hold. I am not saying let her not hold.
She's speaking about the whole idea of India and of the constitution. She should be one of the first flag bearers.
None of us.
She should be one of the first flag bearers, Majid Haidari.
We are angry because she is using wrong.
I think the tricolor on the day of Independence Day.
Every argument of mine that they are opposing COVID. COVID on the argument, which arguments are not acceptable. All those arguments are not good. This Kashmiri guy has all along supported separatists. He has all along opposed any improvement in Kashmir. He has opposed rights to Kashmiri people. And he comes here and tells us what is right and wrong with what Mufti says.
Freedom just recently.
Who?
Yes.
We are.
Now what Ratan Chardhan is saying, Majid Haidari, I think you did not hear what he said. He said that you have always separated, you've always been focusing on the separatist cause. You've always supported the separatist cause. And now you're saying you don't see anything wrong with what Mehbooba Mufti is saying. Because Mehbooba Mufti has also done the same. You've been the same league.
Show me one debate, one show wherever I have supported any separatist
for last 7 years, my dear friend.
Or these politicians of Kashmir.
I have seen you for last 7 years. Don't tell me I have seen you for last 7 years every debate. We know what you suppose, what you oppose. That is not the point. Point is her arguments have been flouted. I am not saying she has no right to criticize. I have flouted every argument of Mufti. That is his thing. And you have not been able to prove that she was anti-minority, that she was anti-India, that she was pro-terrorist, that she was
anti-minority, anti-Dalit is what she
You were hammers and tongs against Hamid Ansari. You didn't reflect from calling him
Hamid Ansari.
That time was like putting the ground for 40 years. But
Mr. Ansari, he threw the raw agents under the bus.
Criticism of Hamid Ansari is because he actually did something which is on record.
Talk about Iftikhar Misgar, okay. Now when she speaks about, I'm not saying this because Mehbooba Mufti is saying it. When she speaks about a government and a president whose actions have actually been anti-minority and anti-Dalit, you're lashing out at a government that has actually given and endorsed the first Dalit president to the country. Iftikhar Misgar?
Let us not. Yeah.
And you're lashing out the allegations at the same person.
Sharda, I request you, let us not make it a fish market. Let us have a sensible debate because we have 3 hyper-nationalists with us and one is left probably, and all the 4 have
utilized what they said is democratic liberty by calling a chief minister of a state which belongs to India a terrorist and a progeny of Pakistan. This is shame. This is shame, but this is the guarantee of the democracy. And democracy has given this thing. They can talk anything for any Kashmiri. Whenever Kashmiri raises a point, whenever Kashmiri, they have not even an iota of knowledge about the Kashmir history. How Kashmir got mingled with India. Nobody understands it. And these people are coming with, I don't know, what is there in their mind. They must first understand the sensitivity. See, 370 articles is in my heart. It is in my emotions. It is with my sentiments, and on the top of the list, it is in my Supreme Court. Who are you to tell me that it has gone? It will not come. 1 crore, 30 lakh people are cherishing it. So you don't respect court, you don't respect constitution, you don't respect institutions, and putting labels to the politicians.
Can I now?
You have such a problem with people lashing out at Mehbooba Mufti.
To respond now.
No, she can go ahead and speak about no one left to hold the Tiranga. Another ex-chief minister can say when asked about Har Ghar Tiranga that you keep it at your home. That is the kind of remark that comes from an ex-chief minister who has absolutely no respect for the Tiranga and goes ahead and says keep it at your home. We don't need it.
See, this is
That is what is coming from another ex-chief minister, and you expect that nobody should be questioning them. They can repeatedly question the Tiranga, but nobody should have the audacity to question them.
Sucharita, give dog a bad name and kill him.
Can I respond to the some serious allegations have been made? Now allow me 60 seconds to respond, please.
I have no allegation. You are a hyper-nationalist.
My life doesn't depend upon adjectives from you. The fact is, allow me 60 seconds. Sucharita, he has talked about the history of Kashmir.
You are fiddling with the power.
Can you shut down his mic? Because there is something very important I want to say over here. He has been the kind of falsehood these people propagate about Kashmir's accession to India. Since he has talked about Kashmir's history, let me educate him about Kashmir's history. Maharaja.
Sir, I think that is that is the easy way out whenever you speak about hyper-nationalism, sir. When it is about being a nationalist, there is nothing hyper about it.
Since he has spoken about Kashmir's history,
no, sir, hold the tricolour with pride. Carry your nationalistic values, wear them on your sleeves. And there is nothing hyper about it, sir. There is nothing hyper about it.
Get away with a lot of falsehood.
No. Go ahead.
I will come.
No, sir. It's very easy for you to call everyone a hyper-nationalist. There is no way out. Tuhin, go ahead. I can't have two people speaking at the same time. Please put Tuhin and Majid Aidri on the screen. Tuhin, go ahead.
Coming from these people, when they call me hyper-nationalist, I would treat that as a badge of honor. Point number one. Point number two, since the gentleman has spoken about the history of Kashmir, allow me a few seconds to educate him about the history, which so that he's not allowed to peddle his falsehood in future. In 1947, Hari Singh had a very clear standstill agreement with both India and Pakistan. Who violated that agreement? Pakistan violated it by sending a whole lot of tribal, armies into Kashmir. Who saved Kashmir from those armies? India. As a result of which, Hari Singh signed immediately signed the agreement of accession, which was absolutely unconditional. I will request him to please read that again. Article 357, Article 370 came in 1950 and 35A came in way later in 1954. So it was not linked to Kashmir's accession with India. So please don't peddle this falsehood in future. That falsehood has been called out. That is why nobody listens to Mehbooba Mufti.
I think anyone who speaks about the idea of the constitution being trampled upon many a times should remember that they have attacked the idea of India and the idea of oneness, not once but many times. So they really do not have the right to question this after all that they've done themselves. That's all I had time for. Thank you so much to everyone for joining me on Burning Question.
Amity University has been ranked number 22 amongst over 1,000 government and private universities in India by NIRF, Ministry of Education, Government of India. A testimony to Amity's excellence in education, research and innovation.
Reading allows us to become familiar with ourselves.
We don't read, we won't know what is knowledge.
I just find it very interesting to know people's lives, how they went through certain situations, how they dealt with things.
So wherever you want to go in life, if you read books along those lines, then that would really help you in growing.
Reading could mean a million different things to every individual. What does it mean to you? Visit readindia.info to find out more.
Where the software engineer meets the gifted content writer to create the big dream. The world comes together at Sharda University.
Wherever you are, whenever you want, Republic Live Stream with you everywhere. Republic Live Stream, India's #1 streaming news.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi hailed the message of hope and compassion that the country's 15th President Draupadi Murmu expressed in her maiden address to the Parliament. PM Modi took to Twitter and lauded President Murmu's first speech to lawmakers after taking the oath administered by CGI N.V. Ramana. Murmu scripted history and became the youngest president of India. She expressed optimism about the nation's future. In her first address to the parliament, the 15th president of India also weighed in on Kargil Vijay Divas and tribal women's rights and mentioned that she was the first woman from her village to attend college.
मैं जिस पृष्ठभूमि से आती हूँ, वहाँ मेरे लिए प्रारंभिक शिक्षा प्राप्त करना भी एक स्वप्न जैसा ही था और मैं कॉलेज जाने वाली अपने गांव की पहली बेटी थी।
The 64-year-old former Jharkhand governor took oath as the 15th president of the country. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
The Bijnor police have arrested 2 people for allegedly trying to incite communal conspiracy in the vandalism case. As per the police, the vandalism was done to disturb the peace in the district. Meanwhile, the police is also closely monitoring social media platforms.
कस्बा शेरकोट स्थित कुतुब शाह की मजार पर भी इन्होंने कुछ तोड़फोड़ पहले की थी। दोनों को गिरफ्तार कर लिया गया है, दोनों से पूछताछ की जा रही है। मोहम्मद कमाल और मोहम्मद आदिल ये 2 भाई हैं, इनसे पूछताछ की जा रही है और पूरी जानकारी।
Wherever you are, whenever you want, Republic Live Stream with you everywhere. Republic Live Stream, India's #1 streaming news.
At least 8 people have died and several others injured after 2 double-decker private buses collided with each other on UP's Purvanchal Expressway. According to reports, the incident happened near Narayanpur village under Loni Khatra police station area. Both vehicles were heading to Delhi from Bihar when the collision happened. The accident happened when one of the buses stopped suddenly and the second one, which was at full speed, collided with it. The injured were immediately rushed to a nearby hospital.
एक बस दूसरे बस से टकराई और इसमें अभी तक की जानकारी के अनुसार 8 लोगों की मृत्यु हो गई है और 16 लोग करीब घायल हुए हैं, जिनमें लोगों को यहाँ ट्रॉमा लखनऊ के लिए रेफर किया गया है।
A team of police officials were rushed to the accident spot and an investigation is underway in this matter.
उसमें आग लगी हुई है और आंदोलनकारी इस तरीके से
और कश्मीरी
BJP workers took to the streets of the national capital protesting against the Delhi government's new excise policy. The workers in large numbers carrying placards and party flags raised slogans against the Delhi government and Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal. Central Crime Branch in Bengaluru has arrested a radicalized youth from his residence at the...
Wherever you are, whenever you want, Republic Live Stream with you everywhere. Republic Live Stream, India's #1 streaming news. PDP chief Mehbooba Mufti attacked former President Ramnath Kovind, says he worked for the BJP's political agenda.
के तहत काम कर रही है और साथ में ही उनकी फ्रस्ट्रेशन वो खुल करके सामने आ रही है।
BJP comes down heavily on PDP chief Mehbooba Mufti over a statement on the former President Kovind. ED levels massive charge against Partha, says Arpita admitted the cash recovered belongs to the Bengal minister. Mamta breaks her silence on the cash scam, distances from her minister and the cash recovered in ED raids. Politics over, Har Ghar Tiranga campaign rages on. Now the AIUDF insults the campaign, attacks the RSS instead.
Congress hits out at seating order at oath-taking. It's time to fact-check the Congress. Congress claims Kharge disrespected. But what's the logic? Debating tonight at 10 p.m.
where the software engineer meets the cool UI UX designer to create the big dream. The world comes together at Sharda University.
आग को फैलने से रोकना मुश्किल है पर नामुमकिन नहीं। अब फायरवॉल टेक्नोलॉजी के साथ सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम आग से बचाए।
Amity University has been ranked number 22 amongst over 1,000 government and private universities in India by NIRF, Ministry of Education, Government of India. A testimony to Amity's excellence in education, research and innovation.
At least 8 people have died and several others injured after 2 double-decker private buses collided with each other on UP's Purvanchal Expressway. According to reports, the incident happened near Narayanpur village under Loni Khatra police station area. Both vehicles were heading to Delhi from Bihar when the collision happened. The accident happened when one of the buses stopped suddenly and the second one, which was at full speed, collided with it. The injured were immediately rushed to a nearby hospital.
एक बस दूसरे बस से टकराई और इसमें अभी तक की जानकारी के अनुसार 8 लोगों की मृत्यु हो गई है और 16 लोग करीब घायल हुए हैं, जिनमें लोगों को यहाँ ट्रॉमा लखनऊ के लिए रेफर किया गया है।
A team of police officials were rushed to the accident spot and an investigation is underway in this matter.
उसमें आग लगी हुई है और आंदोलनकारी इस तरीके से
और कश्मीरी
BJP workers took to the streets of the national capital protesting against the Delhi government's new excise policy. The workers in large numbers carrying placards and party flags raised slogans against the Delhi government and Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal. Central Crime Branch in Bengaluru has arrested a radicalized youth from his residence at the Tilak Nagar area. The CCB team of 30 people raided his house and detained him along with his 4 roommates. A complaint has been registered against the youth and his 4 roommates. Meanwhile, police is investigating the matter further. Police have registered a case against an unidentified man and initiated an investigation for allegedly giving live threats to actor couple Katrina Kaif and Vicky Kaushal through social media.
That is Christian Michelle. First visuals on your scene. Christian, would you give facts to India? Mr. Bhandari, just one question, sir.
Mr. Malia, why are the questions bothering you when I'm not getting a single answer?
Wherever you are, whenever you want, Republic live stream with you everywhere. Republic live stream, India's #1 streaming news.
Well, you want to say anything, Rahul? Rahul, you want to say anything about the questioning?
200 to 300 supporters are gathered here. Are they trying to stop the car?
पूरी भीड़ नजर आ रही है और ये भीड़ बता रही है कि लोग रुकने वाले नहीं। Wherever you are, whenever you want, Republic Livestream with you everywhere. Republic Livestream, India's #1 streaming news.
The Bijnor police have arrested 2 people for allegedly trying to incite communal conspiracy in the vandalism case. As per the police, the vandalism was done to disturb the peace in the district. Meanwhile, the police is also closely monitoring social media platforms.
कस्बा शेरकोट स्थित कुतुब शाह की मजार पर भी इन्होंने कुछ तोड़फोड़ पहले की थी। दोनों को गिरफ्तार कर लिया गया है, दोनों से पूछताछ की जा रही है। मोहम्मद कमाल और मोहम्मद आदिल ये 2 भाई हैं, इनसे पूछताछ की जा रही है और पूरी जानकारी।
Wherever you are, whenever you want, Republic live stream with you everywhere. Republic live stream, India's #1 streaming news.
From the Mumbai studios of Republic TV, it's time for The Debate.
The Debate at 9, presented by Amity University, powered by RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, Century Ply and JK Tires.
Welcome. You're watching The Debate with me, Shavan Sen. This Monday night, I'm filling in for Arnab Goswami, who'll be back soon. Tonight, we have 3 power-packed debates lined up for you. Debate number 1, Mamata distances herself as the Bengal cash scam explodes. But could it be a one-man job? That's debate number 1. And at 10, another tantrum by Congress, this time over the seat of the leader of opposition. But has the front row demand proven Congress is a backbencher on facts? That's debate number 2. At 10:30, SIT reveals details of funding by top politician to Teesta. Was the entire post-Godra narrative a political plot? That's debate number 3. And here are the headlines we are tracking for you on this Monday night. ED shares more explosive details of Bengal cash